Welcome
these?
back. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of No Place Like Homaha. If people do not stop texting me when I'm in the middle of a show, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm your host, JD Wonder, alongside Nick Henry and Mikey Love, but my notes are on here. We had a wild weekend as far as shakeup within the
I don't want to
top
be
10
here
and the
anymore. I'm
top 25.
scared.
What'd you say?
I'm scared. I don't want to be here anymore.
Mom could pick me up. I'm scared.
I'm scared.
More than scared.
Mikey was correct. ECU was kind of overranked as they got swept by Tulane this past weekend. Let me pull up some numbies. Not for that game. I'm just pulling up upsets in general. Wake Forest sweeping the series against number 2 Clemson, and I'm telling you, if that pitching staff can stay on,
If
um,
if somebody takes away Charlie Burns' pre-workout
mm,
or
Chase Burns,
Chase Burns, I don't know. I was thinking of both
unfactual
Cordon
evidence.
and I was thinking about Cordon and Burns at the same time. But no, if somebody takes Chase Burns' pre-workout away, they're about to be a dead man because that dude gets hype as hell
Well, he
when he
finished
strikes out the
with.
side.
Did he finish with 16 Ks? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
he went with 16 Ks full on for the day against Clemson
I
in his start.
do have to say that he is going to be our big pimp and player of the week. I did find my
Give it
glasses,
to
but
him.
they're downstairs. I don't want to go get them.
I gotcha.
But did find them while moving some stuff around. Heck yeah, Nick's got it locked in. But yeah, he's going to be our guy for this weekend. Well deserved, coming out and really showing why he deserves to be kind of a top prospect to look for in this year's draft. But yeah,
Well, and especially coming out of like a season when you had a guy like Rhett Lauder last year, that's huge that you can get back at least one of your 1-2 punch combos from a year ago,
well,
and
they
he's
got
still
him.
continuing.
They got him from Tennessee, so Tennessee
Yeah.
really lost. Mike, why? What is
You
what
look
is that?
like a nap. Don't take a look.
Got to give out a NAFL order of the week too.
Yeah, it goes to him.
Anyways, looking then at some other
Yikes.
upsets this week. Georgia
Hang on,
Tech
I'm
upsets
picking up the
number
screen.
9 Duke, 2-1 in that series. I think the rest of these are 2-1. I don't know for sure. NC State upset Virginia, both top 25 opponents, but NC State knocking, I think, Virginia out of the top 10. We just talked about it. The Green Waves, or the Green Wave, sweeping ECU for the weekend. And Texas State upsetting number 21 Troy, taking the series 2-1. And like we've talked about before, Texas State is that team.
Well,
Seems like
which
year to year.
I will say this: Texas State won that series, but gave the Raging Cajuns the conference outright for the Sun Belt
Mm,
with that win
by
against
knocking them out with that one.
with Troy, or the win against Troy, that now put the Raging Cajuns up at front and gave them the outright title, I believe.
Because they had the
So,
head-to-head against both of them.
I do believe that is correct. I saw
Gotcha.
that earlier today. Which also, you want to take just talk about some of these mid-major teams for a minute. I mean, there's a lot of good competition kind of coming around there, but like the way that you look and compare to Mikey and I talked about this in the last episode that we had, it seems that a lot of these guys, you're finding all of this talent everywhere that's being able to compete with guys that eventually transfer over. And I was watching the Texas A&M game yesterday, and Ole Miss, where they were talking, or it might have been Sunday Night Baseball, where they were talking about how easy the transfer portal is now to be able to get guys, and that players are getting paid to play college ball now. Like, I mean, you can actually do some of this stuff, and for these mid-major teams like Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns have been red hot this season. They've been bouncing in and out of the top 25. You have Texas State, who last year was a super regional team that just missed the cut, and they've done it back-to-back years. I like these teams. These mid-major teams are normally pretty good when it comes to setting their standards.
Yeah, I believe that they're usually those kinds of teams will kind of battle their way into it. As far as then, making it into the tournament stuff, they really kind of have to either win their conference or have a really strong strength of schedule. Otherwise, they're not going to make it in because, having the ACC and SEC, I mean, they're battling each other throughout the entire time in their conference and bolstering up their resume.
Well, and it's kind of interesting too to look at because both the brackets, Mikey sent out the NAIA one. I believe it was Mikey that did for the regional tournament. And then I saw the D3 baseball tournament bracket for their regional rounds. And it's funny to see how certain areas only have 2 teams in it. So you have a best of 3 series to play through to get to the next round. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, there are plenty of teams that have good rankings that don't get just at large bids in those NAIA D3, D2s. And then you look at teams in D1, SEC is going to get at least probably 5 or 6, maybe 7 plus teams in that tournament for the regionals. The ACC is
3
going
of
to
them
get
are
a
going to
handful of teams.
host.
Yeah, and 3 are going to host because
Mhm.
if the season ended right now, 4 out of your top 5 seeds are nationally SEC. It would be Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Texas A&M. Your next SEC team would be Georgia. So, like, let's take that in for consideration. Even if teams are not ranked, but they still had a good year, competed in conference, either won the regular season, didn't win the conference tournament, or got to the conference tournament, finished second, why aren't some of these mid-major teams getting in? Why aren't some of these lower end out of the Power Fives getting in?
I think then because it is a matter of like those conferences are beating up on each other. And we've talked about it week in and week out where it's always going to be lopsided at that front because of the competition that goes there is bizarre. But you will have some teams that kind of sneak in here and there. I think the biggest argument that they can make is either playing midweek games against really high ranked opponents or having those preseason where they have those little round robin tournaments, trying to get into those and really prove that they should be there. But usually when they're put on that stage, they're kind of knocked around a lot more than they are. We see, Lipscomb or UNCW earlier this season upsetting teams because that happens. But as far as like really making it into the tournament and making a run for it, they're getting into that 4 seed and it's just a dogfight to get there. Like hats off to guys like Oral Roberts last year.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen teams in the past that have made it to the supers or even the tournament, like Coastal Carolina a few years back. Like it's to
Stony
prove
Brook is
that they're the
another one of those
best.
teams. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you can list off so many different ones that make it here, and it's because they have to just go on an absolutely bizarre run. But I think as far as like actual competition goes and stuff like that, it's always just going to be the SEC. I love how engaged you are, Mikey. It makes me feel like you listen.
Mikey's just here.
All I do is listen.
I was gonna say, do you have
I love
anything
that
to
for you.
add in on this conversation? Speaking of which,
Ladies,
Old
he is a
Dominion,
great listener, in case
yes,
you're curious. My
very
boy is
attentive.
he's attentive, he's athletic, he's a ginge.
Very, very hateful.
Comes
Oh,
around
all
comes
right.
around with his own bubble wrap, so gift wrapping during the holidays is easy.
Oh,
There you go.
Dude, we're
bitch,
hyping you. We're
I
hyping you
got-
up, man.
I got the shit you put in gift bags.
Tissue paper?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that. Respect.
Thank
Anyways,
you.
what were you saying, Nick?
I was gonna say, Old Dominion ended up getting a walk-off win yesterday, I did see, against Appalachian State.
Yeah, we get the shaft a lot, but here we are.
I like
see
how you've
Texas.
collectively gone to we.
I see Texas did some sucking of some peen and snuck their way back into 25. Pretty elite stuff. Were you
If
there to
anybody
help them?
thought no, if anybody thought this
Oh.
was a family friendly podcast,
Family
it
friendly.
clearly
Hey.
is not.
Hey, I didn't say any naughty words.
Just
I do
innuendos.
believe I quote was suck a lot of pee.
Yeah. Maybe I meant to say penne like the pasta. You don't know.
This Castillo Pepe sauce
I
from
mean
Trader
penis
Joe's.
though, just so
Oh,
everyone can
I want to clarify for the people out there.
For the people in the back that didn't hear.
any doubts. We got to put them to sleep.
Oh, but like, I mean, if you want to look, there wasn't a whole lot of major changes when it came into the top 25 this weekend. I mean, Georgia had a big jump. Oklahoma was a big one. The biggest factor that I think right now holding is Kentucky staying at 2. And as much
They
as I
didn't
don't
stay
like,
at 2, they were 4, so you're giving wrong information.
say what now?
They were 4. They were not 2.
I'm saying that they are 2 now.
You said they stayed at 2.
I do not believe so.
Checkmate. Watch the tape back.
Anyways, but this Kentucky team is one of those teams that they do everything very, very soundly. They're able to hurt you small ball and go deep with the home run. I mean, they were really mashing up with Florida this weekend very well. Caglione had a very good game on the mound for the Gators. But I mean, still, you got a team like this that can do all the small things right. And Kentucky is a pretty decently young team. And then you get a team like Tennessee, who is now back in the driver's seat. And we've talked about this before. Are the Volunteers going to possibly hit the good old choke bus and just get flattened when it comes towards regional time? Clemson showed a little bit of a kind of discouragement against Wake Forest this weekend, but this is probably, I would say Wake Forest is probably one of the best teams that Clemson has faced all year, even though in this SEC schedule is when you have teams like NC State, who is on an offensive hot streak and their back bullpen is very, very solid and built out, does not give up a lot of runs. So I think come tournament time here in about a couple of weeks, it should get very interesting.
Yeah, so looking then ahead into tournament play, this week we'll wrap up kind of the regular season, except for the Ivy League tournament will start this weekend, and the Patriot League will finish up their championship series this weekend. Be Army Navy. Heck yeah. Anyways, looking now at kind of our weekend series starting on Thursday, we got Indiana State playing Valparaiso.
Valparaiso.
Oklahoma's playing Cincinnati. Boston College will play Clemson. That'll be a big decider too for Clemson as well if they get a series taken away from them by an unranked Boston College team. Georgia, Florida. Florida could play spoiler also to Georgia, knock them down a little bit. However, the Florida Gators looking at 26 and 25, probably not getting back into the top 25, but hoping to boost themselves for seeding in the SEC tournament. Georgia Tech, Florida State will play. Georgia Tech 30 and 19. They're right outside. They could do well against this Florida State team. Rice, East Carolina going to play. Virginia Tech, Virginia. South Carolina and Tennessee will play. Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Vanderbilt, again, just outside. They're 34 and 18. Had kind of a rough decline, but they could still see the tournament. North Carolina and Duke. Wake Forest, NC State. Missouri, Mississippi State. South Alabama and Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. Oklahoma State will play Houston. Kansas will play Texas. Jayhawks looking to rock chalk their way to Horns-Downsville. Arkansas will play Texas A&M. That'll be a top 5 matchup. Oregon State will play Arizona. Washington State will play Oregon. Okay, then to Friday.
Mikey, you just look so chipper down there.
You look
Santa
so
Barbara will play
disinterested.
CSU Northridge.
I don't know what he said.
Nope. What'd you
I
say?
don't.
Oh,
Speak.
Did you ask me a
see,
question?
when I'm talking, you don't want to start talking. UC Irvine will play Cal State Fullerton. Those are the other 2 matchups that we will see for the weekend. And then conference tournament play will start next weekend.
I can't believe that we're already this far through May right now, or like through the season. Like it seemed like just yesterday it started. Like it's kind of a sad deal. That means June's coming up with the College World Series. I hope I can even make a game. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it.
Well,
back.
I mean, if you lived
Well,
in
you
Omaha,
can't
that'd
even
be
make it to
real
our
easy.
podcast episodes, so you couldn't make
Got
it to
'em.
that.
That was for work. That is for work. That's a totally different issue than being able to just
Yep.
get away.
My dick, bud. See you
I
later.
do need to, though, celebrate, though, because episode 68 hasn't been posted yet, but it will be. This
Say
is
what now?
episode 69.
Oh!
We did it.
Nice.
Red hot.
We did it.
Hold on. What are we saying? There was a video not posted.
Oh,
It hasn't been posted yet, no, from last week.
You
How
guys
do you-
recorded an episode last week?
Yeah.
how do you?
I didn't see it in the email.
How do you?
a real tough look
It came from this Zoom call. Thank you.
because it was you
You're
two
kidding me.
2 weeks ago or a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I noticed the
Then it
common
was
denominator. I'm always here.
because you were like, I'm in, was it Wyoming?
Boy,
Oh shit! There it is.
Sweet.
Found it.
He's getting switch.
I
We
was
knew
not
it.
getting. I
Ladies
was
and
definitely
gentlemen, we
not
got
getting-
him.
Not in Wyoming. That was
But
not
this
a-
is episode 69, so it's literally the biggest episode we could ever record ever.
Well, you
No.
know what? We'll get those up this week. They'll both
Sweet.
go up the same day.
69.
Nice.
Heyo.
And
We are
switch.
Anyways, as far as then,
not
like,
switch.
I feel like as like players this year that we kind of look at, some guys that we had really talked about too, like last year have kind of fallen off. Like, I mean, I know we talked about earlier in the season, like Drew Barres. I still think he could probably get drafted in the
Mhm.
top 5 rounds just because of his like sheer power and stuff. And I mean, you can develop him more because he was just a freshman this year. Charlie
Can't get
Condon has
drafted, that
emerged
ding-dong.
as the 1-1 pick.
I definitely would agree with that. And I mean, and that's the thing too, is like I've been looking around, broke the BB core record for bombs in a single
Mhm.
season. Is he now on an 8-game home run streak, or did that stop?
I don't know
Probably
about
Roy
this
Checker.
weekend, but
Yeah, he was going.
I don't
on
know about
7.
Roy checking him. He's 6'6",
No.
but he's not like full frame.
The man just has a swing. I mean,
He does
it's
have
a
a
pretty
real
swing.
real smooth swing.
Yeah,
The dangerous thing though,
but here we are.
the dangerous thing though that I think with that is seeing, we have the single season, this season obviously doing fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Longevity wise, can we look at him to be like, he's coming from being, a walk on, all this kind of stuff, to now being the 1-1 pick, like versus, Dylan Cruz last year who fell a little bit. Like I think he was he second or third?
Drew was second, or
No.
Dylan was second.
Bitch, Paul Skeens right in front of him. What do you mean?
Yeah, so
fell?
I'm saying Paul Cruz, but
Paul
going
Cruz,
into the
Name
Dylan
season,
Cruz.
correctly.
in the season,
Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens. We're so on fire today, boys.
Dylan Cruz at the beginning of the season was the 1-1. Paul Skeens has the season he does and gets called up way quicker, all this kind of stuff. But you're looking at then like Dylan Cruz was somebody that he got looked at to be like a pro prospect when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking like, do you think it's a flash in the pan, or do you think it's?
That's because Paul Skeens came in at LSU with only 2 pitches.
I mean, even still, he has now what, 3, and he's just
5.
5. He has an arsenal.
5 pitches. He only needs
Watch a baseball
2.
game. Watch a baseball game.
He's got.
Dude could just huck gas and then be like slider.
Slider, sinker, cutter, curve, fastball.
It's actually a splinker. Say it correctly, please.
A splinker. Sorry, my bad.
Anyways,
It's
I would
disgusting. That's
say-
what it is.
yeah, no, I mean, honestly, he could rely on 2 to 3 pitches. Realistically.
Yeah.
Anyways, but looking at that, do you think that then Charlie Condon, like getting drafted that high, do you think he might sputter out in the minors, or do we think that he could get called up really quick?
Well, when the A's take him, you can find out in a year.
That is
Yeah,
honestly.
we'll keep
a
our
valid
eyes
point right
on
there.
we'll keep our eyes on the minor league stadium that they're going to be playing in for the next few years.
No, we won't.
I think the biggest thing you got to look at there is a difference between like the hitting and pitching obviously aspect of getting
Right.
drafted.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing that you have to look at is when you take the top 3 draft picks that came out of that last year, or top 5. We'll go within top 5 because I forget if Wyatt Langford was 3 or 5.
He was
Wyatt
3.
Langford was 4,
3?
I thought.
4.
What?
Oh yeah, it was
Because Max Clark was
Max Clark was
3.
3.
Mhm.
So you take a look at and we'll just do out of college. We'll throw Max Clark out of this because he's not in the D1 level.
He's trash.
Got
He is
him.
a trash can.
Wow.
But you take a look at those. Wyatt Langford is playing up right now with the Rangers. But that position kind of shocks me, as well as he did hitting wise. Defensively, the Rangers are good. Came off a World Series win. That's a huge one. You go
He's
into he is DHing, but still, I mean, that's huge with the way that team is built. Then you got Paul Skeens, just got his first start against Chicago, comes in, throws what? He had 7 Ks, 6, 7 Ks, only 2 walks. No, I thought he had
4.
6.
I don't know. He got
Only
no
gave up
decision.
only gave up 1 run to a Nico Horner bomb. So and then Dylan Cruz is still playing in AAA right now. So I mean, that is a
Yeah, that's
whole
because that outfield, that minor league outfield, is just loaded.
for the Nats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then so that's another example too. You get all these teams that have such a good farm system right now. The Cubs are on that list. The Nationals are on that list when it comes to outfield. The Orioles have been stocking their pond for years now. And look, Adley Rutschman's already playing in the league. You got Gunnar Henderson playing in the league. I mean, there is a bunch of guys around this league right now that are so young that came out of college within the last 4 years. And I think it's just because there's a different level of these guys that are showing consistency. That's the biggest thing. Paul Skeens, even at Air Force the year prior before coming to LSU, he was consistent. His numbers were up. He comes back to LSU, wins the national title with even better numbers than he had at LSU. Dylan Cruz, SEC Player of the Year hitting wise, did the same thing for 3 years. Dansby Swanson was very consistent when his career was at Vanderbilt. Langford was the same way. The consistent guys are the ones that are moving through instead of the guys that are having these breakout seasons.
That's
So
what I'm saying. So as far as like then picking him 1-1, do we like, I mean, I know it's hard to tell, but do you think that it's going to translate then to him just continuing to have, obviously he's not going to have the hot streak. I feel like, I mean, he could, but I feel like getting into that, he's either going to face the grind of the minors and get ground down, or he's going to be able to, like you said, stay consistent. So do we, what stance do we take on that?
I'm going to go with he's going to be kind of like an Aaron Judge type feel. Because Aaron Judge went Fresno State, right? That's where Judge was.
Mm-hmm.
Judge goes through the minors, does his thing, and now he's up. I think for Condon, it's going to be he's got this power number and he's got this entire career built around him on this essence. Now he's going to have to start kind of getting through working with the minors. He'll definitely struggle a little bit, but I think he'll get on his consistency road after about 2 years. So I would definitely say, as talented as Condon is, he is a 1-1. He's pretty much a 5-tool guy. But I think it's just going to take him a little bit once he gets into the minors. I give him about 2 years before you really start seeing his action kind of heat up.
Right. And I feel like too, we've seen flashes of good pitchers this year, but we haven't seen anybody like Paul Skeens that just really stood out. I'd say the next closest, I mean, even then you got the pitcher for, is it Hagen Smith, the pitcher for
Hagen
Arkansas?
Smith from Arkansas, yeah.
He's been pretty consistent across the season. I think he could go high unless I think he's a junior or senior. I don't know. I think he's draft eligible. And then Chase Burns has been a guy who transferred there for a purpose. I could see him going in the first round. I just think a little bit later
Mm-hmm.
because he did face some woes kind of earlier in the season. Now I think he's finding his groove. But again, you see a player like that who is electric. I think he also rides the highs and lows a little too much at times, where I think that he's not like Paul Skeens. Like if you see him on the mound, he's very collected, but he's also like, I'm gonna get in a rhythm and I'm just gonna go. Like this is like I'm gonna lock in right away. I'm not gonna stay there, shout, like go for my guys, which it works for some people. Sometimes it doesn't. Like everybody needs to find their groove.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's been a big thing for Chase Burns this season. So I would take personally, I'd take Hagen Smith over him, but we'll see how that pans out. But again, no really big pitching prospects that are just like lights out.
I would agree from that.
Sweet. All right. Anything else we need to add before we go?
I think I'm good. I think we've covered a lot. I think we've built up a good point for coming into conference play this weekend or next weekend. And Mikey is picking and flicking. I just look down and I see him doing this.
I don't know what you want from me.
Mikey's flicking down there.
Called you a naff. Corrected you guys. Did what I'm here to do.
Hyped up Old Dominion. trashed on Texas. You
Yep.
know, the usual stuff.
Yep.
You haven't said anything about the Pac-12 though, so I mean,
Yep, because it doesn't deserve to be talked about.
got
Yes,
him.
it does. Oregon State always deserves to get talked about. There we go. We
Nope.
mentioned something about probably one of the greatest conferences in sports history for college.
Why don't you go revive him then? Why doesn't Texas move there?
Texas is going to single-handedly, Texas and Colorado single-handedly revive the Pac-12.
No, that would single-handedly destroy the Pac-12 again. That is a war we don't need. Texas.
We're back.
Colorado's better than Texas. Is that why?
No.
Damn.
In every sport,
Got him.
No. Balls.
including bull riding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got him.
That.
Oh, frozen.
Get
He's got
absolutely
paint in his
wrecked.
mouth.
Yep.
Hold on.
No. Also, shout out to the boys at the Big Red taking the series against Indiana on senior weekend, moving themselves up. That was crucial. If they lost that, their chances at possibly being a top seed in the Big Ten Conference are a little cut out of that. So.
What are you talking about? They were.
I
tied
need
with
Big Red
Indiana. They would've been
baseball.
third.
I need it to be better. Anyways, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel. No place
I
like
can't
Homaha.
be friendly
on
because these
YouTube.
actions you're doing.
My gosh. Anyways, you can also like our videos and follow us on any podcasting platform such as Spotify
Not
and
family
Apple
friendly.
Podcasts.
These actions you're doing.
You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Homaha Pod for any
Yeah, we're definitely
updates,
not family
stuff
friendly.
like that. You can also we can thank our sponsors. You can get some product from them. Shout out Cranio Media, our partners, for putting us out everywhere. And you can use that code Cranio Media, all one word, at W and Shank It Golf for 10 to 15% off your order. Again, Cranio Media, all one word.
Yeah, and thanks to Waste Management for always picking up the trash that is Texas. Good job.
The real hero. Did you just fist clap?
Just like Texas been getting fisted all week.
All right.
Oh,
You know how
Family
it be.
friendly.
horny
No,
tail.
I'm fine. I've said no bad words. Ish, kind of, maybe. Nick's over here making
You're tiptoeing the
profanity
line.
comment, the profanity actions over here. I'm good.
I've seen it.
I've repented
it.
for my sins. Have you? Nope.
Good job.
Proud
of you for
how
that.
can you repent for being a ginger?
God doesn't forgive you for 20 whatever years you've been a Texas fan. That's unforgivable. Straight to hell.
That's unforgivable.
Straight to hell.
He didn't choose the orange. You did. So,
Straight to hell.
He was
Got him.
that actually is valid.
got him.
Yep, straight to hell. See you later.
Anyways, we will catch you guys next week for episode 70 because that's not as cool as episode 69. But do what you can, what you got.
You can cut
Indeed.
this out.